And welcome back to the Informer Show. I'm still here. I'm still Ben Hansen. I'm joined by Nick Clifford from Phoenix Labs.
Yep. Nice.
Welcome, sir. You're working on Dauntless, right?
Yep.
Great. And we also have Ian Tornay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Fantastic. Community man. Working on Dauntless.
By trade.
You guys are actually in the office. People listening to this might be shocked by the audio quality here. What are you doing here? What are you showing off?
Well, we just wandered in because we heard there were really cool game statues and an extensive video game collection.
Yeah. We get a lot of people wandering off the street that way.
Yeah. But we accidentally also brought a video game to demo for you guys.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we did that, played around, and so our game is Dauntless, online co-op action RPG, coming to PC, and we're working on a really big update that brings a lot of new exciting stuff, and came to show it off to you guys.
So how does this work? So there's a big update, but the game is in what state right now? Can people play it if they want to on PC?
Yeah. So right now, Dauntless is in closed beta. We launched our closed beta back in August. And we've been in this early access period ever since. And right now, we're launching our largest content update to date. It includes new weapon, new behemoths, new encounters, new combat features, kind of from the ground up, a massive overhaul of the game. We've been listening to the community since we launched back in August, even before that when we were in technical alpha, and just trying to build the best game that we possibly can. Their feedback was really instrumental in that process, and this is kind of the first step in many in that evolution of Dauntless.
Do you guys have a fancy, splashy name for this expansion? You need something like the Lightning expansion or something cool like that.
Sharpen Your Skills.
Oh, good. Come on, Mark.
Yeah, Ian's the voice. I'm just here.
You're just the
tag
looks.
along.
You're
Yeah.
the looks. Yeah. No,
that is a stretch.
Well, we're an independent studio. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Sharpen Your Skills is what it's called. Our game is all about fighting gigantic monsters called behemoths. We really like to lean into challenging games. A lot of us are big Dark Souls fans. A lot of us are big Monster Hunter fans. And so, whenever we put something out, it's not just like, all right, here's something for you to come face roll. It really is, okay, here's something that's going to push your skills. Here's something that's going to challenge you. And that's what we hear people like. That's what we like. And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys must get this in every interview you do, but so many people must bring up, oh, it's just like a cool indie Monster Hunter type game.
Sure. I'll take that. Yeah.
You guys are open to that obvious connection?
Yeah. We're huge Monster Hunter fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think between the office, we've got thousands of hours played in Monster Hunter. But beyond that, we've drawn inspiration from some of our favorite games over the years, Dark Souls, as Ian mentioned, even more modern games like Destiny and World of Warcraft, and how they've kind of blazed a trail in online social gaming space. So I think, there are some comparisons to Monster Hunter to be had, but overall, we just wanted to build a fun co-op game where you feel like a badass with your friends, having fun, sharing these really cool water cooler moments of achievement, taking down big behemoth, feeling awesome while you do it.
Yeah, feeling awesome at all times.
Yeah.
So say we have listeners or viewers that are Monster Hunter fans. They check out Dauntless. What's going to be shockingly different? What are the first cues that oh, this is why this is a new experience?
Yeah, I think, we talk about this a lot. We're all huge Japanese game fans. Like when we were up in the vault, we geeked out over the Dreamcast section. We're talking about how much we love a new Suikoden game. Love Japanese games. I miss weird Japanese games. The Dreamcast was definitely my favorite thing.
Favorite console of all time?
I would say favorite console of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a tough pull, but I'll go there.
PSO, you're one of those guys?
Yeah, I do I had the keyboard. I made my dad buy me that gigantic keyboard, and with my little Dreamcast backpack character. It was great. That's a great game. And then I had my Dreamcast. Anyway,
Did you also have a Rob growing up too?
I did not have the Rob, but I
Okay.
did have the Power Glove. It was so bad.
I still think that makes you spoiled.
So bad.
Ben.
To the core. I'm an awful human being, but it hasn't stopped. But yeah, I think Dauntless started off as a sequel to Pepsi Man. And then we just slowly gravitated towards the monster hunting genre.
Okay, accidentally, I understand.
Yeah. So, to be serious, we do love Japanese games. There's a lot. I think the way that Japanese games are developed and the development process for Japanese games is approached is one of tradition and observing kind of what's come before. Of course, we honor that, and I think you can't move forward without looking back. We're really proud of the pedigree in our studio. We have a lot of people from Riot. We have a lot of people from BioWare. We have people from Blizzard. We have people from Capcom. But what we're bringing to the table is a clean slate. So looking at all the features, looking at all the things in a traditional RPG and a monster hunting game. And that includes everything. I mean, in part, I think PSO actually blazed the trail for games like that. But you can look at God Eater, you can look at Tokeden. And I think you see a lot of features that made a lot of sense for certain platforms or for a certain time and maybe haven't aged as well. And since we're starting from scratch, we can say, okay, what is gaming in 2017, 2018, and what are the best things from co-op experiences that we can bring to the game? And that's what we do.
Is it an oversimplification to just say kind of like, let's smooth down some of those rough edges, maybe clean some systems up? Is that the overall philosophy for Dauntless?
I think so
it's in
too.
there,
Yeah, I think we definitely have tried to clean up a lot of the cruft in some of the more traditionally designed games of the past.
Cruft, that's a good word.
If I can put it as politically correct as possible. But again, like we've also learned from games like Destiny, Warframe, like stuff that's kind of completely outside our genre space, just in terms of like how they've helped improve online gaming and online social gaming.
Yeah. So the big overhaul. What did you guys learn from the community? What do you think that they wanted? Maybe that was surprising based on when you initially launched?
Yeah, I would say, part of it was paring things down, and there were parts that we learned. Games are weird, games are fun. Like some of the best parts about games, some of my fondest memories of games are things that are more complicated, that aren't pared down. It's like, yeah, of course I spent 40 hours racing chocobos to get Knights of the Round. Like, what else are you going to do with your weekend? And so, of course, you're going to get the quad summon too, so you can just really one-hit Sephiroth. But
naturally,
what are you going to do? You're a spoiled, lonely kid, and so you're. But at any rate, I think like there were some systems that we'd pared down too far, that maybe would streamline too much.
Oh, interesting.
So we added back some sophistication to some combat. We added some sophistication in the form of a socketing system, which we call cells. The other thing too is that when we were a free-to-play game. And when we came out, it was like, okay, well, how are we going to make money? Because we unfortunately have to eat because I'm spoiled, and I'm not going to let that go.
And you only eat Dreamcast keyboards.
Yes. Until you get me a new one, and then I'm not leaving. I'm setting up shop here. Anyway, I think. One of the things that we did was like, okay, so you can buy loot boxes. You can just go in again, buy a loot box, crack it open. It's got cosmetics in it. Happy. Because we're firmly against pay to win. We're firmly against pay to power. So it's all about cosmetics. I was like, loot boxes. That's how everyone does it. That's how we did it. That's how Dad did it. Everyone's going to be happy. We heard very early on that it wasn't great. It wasn't what people wanted. So we decided to take them out.
Just overall, people are like, loot boxes in this type of game, it just feels gross.
Well, and it was
more about people spending money and getting a chance at a reward.
Yeah.
And again, like Ian mentioned, it was kind of not necessarily commonplace, but pretty practically used throughout the industry. So we defaulted to it when we went with our free-to-play model. And we got a lot of feedback early on. It was just like, hey, man, I dropped $5 and I got the dance that I don't like. I want the dance that I like. And we're like, oh, man, that feels really bad. Right. How can we address that? How can we fix that?
Yeah, because for us, part of the reason we went free-to-play is that, we all grew up playing games where it's like you buy the game, you read the review, you're like, okay, it feels pretty good. And you buy the game, $60, and then if you like it, you're set. If you don't like it, you're in a really rough place. And one of the great things about free-to-play for us is that we will only succeed if we're doing the right thing for our players. We're only going to succeed, we're only going to make money, we're only going to thrive if we're doing the right thing and we're making players happy. And that's a relationship that pushes us artistically and creatively, and it keeps us honest and earnest. And so we heard back, like, the loot box thing doesn't make me feel great. It was like, I'll do it, but I don't love it. So we endeavored to change it. And then what site was that on? All of them. There was a little kerfuffle about loot boxes. And it's gratifying to see that we were doing the right thing, and we're doing the right thing for games. And I think that's something as a studio we always want to do. All of us came from pretty big studio backgrounds. We could have stayed there if we wanted, but we chose to do our own thing.
So what is it now? How did you guys rework everything?
Yeah, so now you're like, I want that emote, or I want that die, or it's a great, buy it. It's yours, done.
It's more of a direct purchasing model now, where you just go into the store, you find what you want, you buy it. You don't have to pull the slot machine and hope that you get it.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. I'm still trying to figure out Phoenix Labs in general, like all these amazing developers getting together.
Mm-hmm.
Who's funding this? Where's the money coming from?
We forgot money.
How is everybody getting together? What made everybody leave giant publishers to go? Is it just passion of making a game in the vein of Monster Hunter?
Yeah. So I think the average tenure of our studio is at least like 10 years, maybe.
10 years,
So we've all been around the block a couple times, whether it's BioWare, EA, Capcom, Blizzard, Riot. Most recently, many of us came from Riot Games, where we worked on League of Legends for many years. Had an awesome time doing it. And we wanted to get back to making games for ourselves. So Jesse, Robin, Sean, who were all at Riot at the time, left Riot Games, founded the company. Fortunately, League of Legends made a little bit of money while we were there. So we went to a lot of the people who we had connections with already and talked to them about starting our own studio and basically wanting to do it again. Wanted to get back into making a new game. So we're privately backed. We're super fortunate in that respect that we secured money very early on to pay for the development of Dauntless.
And when you're pitching this to potential funders of the overall project, are you talking about genre? Are you talking about game mechanics, or is it just, hey, you guys like League of Legends, right? What if we made a new game?
It's funny you mentioned that, because the first time that we started pitching investors, we didn't really have a game idea in mind. It was just hey, it's the guy who ran League, the guy who ran development of League, and the guy who was head of people on League are going to start a company. And people were like, go on, what can you tell us?
Yeah.
So yeah, we secured our initial funding without a genre in mind.
That's amazing. Just off the strength
of well, you really,
success.
Making games is hard. It is a ton of work. And I think more and more people are, games are getting harder and harder to make. And you are seeing that reflected with these huge studios, right? Where it's like, look, if you want to make a blockbuster, it's going to take 500 people. It's going to take a, super huge marketing budget to make that money back. And that's not without a cost to morale. That's not without a cost to, something's got to give somewhere, right? And so for us, I think it's less about when you know that you want to make games for a living. You like any of us could go, well, not any of us because I can't program, but anyone working in games could probably make 2, 3, 4 times as much money making tax software.
Interesting.
And it would be a way better bet. You'd definitely get your holidays. You'd get way more paid leave.
It's a cool co-op experience.
It's all right. Spreadsheets are the new version of Eve. Microsoft Excel 2018 is really coming together, and we could do that. So you make games because you're passionate about it, and you know that you're going to be in the office early, and you're going to be there late, and you're going to work weekends. You're probably going to work holidays, and so you got to know that you're going to love working with the people you work with. So when I got the call from Nick, it wasn't, hey, we're making this game. Hey, we're doing this. It was like, well, I like Nick. I would love to work with these guys. Let's go do it. What are you making? Okay, yep, that sounds great. Let's do it. And that makes all the difference. And that was a very early rule for the studio was in order to get hired, you needed to know someone that worked there. You couldn't
interesting.
Yeah, so we all know each other by 2 or 3 degrees of separation, and it makes all the difference because you can trust the guy working next to you. If you got to work late, that you're going to have a great time. Like anyone from the studio could be sitting here next to me. I could be anyone else from the studio, and we would trust each other implicitly, and we would be having a great, like when we travel, we have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, do other studios do that? Is that pretty rare to have that weird, you need to know somebody to get in the door here?
Yeah, I think it's less about the nepotism and more job interviews are so weird. Yeah. Like it's so hard to suss out whether you're going to have, years, decades of a good time working with somebody through an hour of talking with them.
Right.
So for us, it was more like, hey, I worked with Jesse on the Mass Effect trilogy. I worked with him at Riot Games. When he thought about someone to help with publishing, he's like, well, I know Nick the best. I know what he's capable of. I've seen him publish a box product. I've seen him publish an online game. Let's go there. And then same thing when we started thinking about community, I was like, okay, who's the best community person I know?
Who's got the keyboard?
Who had a Power Glove growing up? It's Ian, naturally. So it's been great for us. We've been super fortunate in that we're really working with some of our best friends and some of the some of the smartest people I've ever worked with. Like I learn something new every day when I go into the office. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you guys were there, but was it just a process of, okay, we have some money, we can run the studio for a little while, and then we have a just completely empty whiteboard. Let's start writing down genres. Let's start writing down concepts we like.
You are not too far off from the truth. Like when we thought about our first game, we actually storyboarded out or whiteboarded out a couple different genres. The second place, not many people know this, but second place was a character-based shooter long before Overwatch, Paladins, Battleborn, and Paragon and all came out. So we fortunately dodged that bullet, but we knew kind of at the core we always wanted to make a social experience for players. we wanted people to play together, have fun together, and build relationships together.
It really starts from, okay, in the last 4 or 5 years, what were your favorite moments in gaming?
Where I whooped your ass at Marvel.
Wow.
You guys are big Marvel guys?
Excuse me for a moment. Hi, Nick. How's it going over there?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we have a very competitive fighting game little club inside the studio. So
That's cool.
I'm an MVC2 guy. I am awful at MVCI, so Nick's been repaving me. But when the new Chaos Code comes out, I think you're going to be a little bit of trouble.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I've just as a side note, I've never heard anybody in the industry be like, "I'm super in MVCI." So that's cool. Actually, it's nice to know that someone's playing that game out there.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It's a good game. I just suck at it. So, I'm excited for the quadruple HD overhaul of MVC2. Heard it here first. I have no power to confirm that, but I think if I just say it's happening, it can happen, right?
Yeah, just ask your dad.
Yeah, just
yeah.
From the man that brought you Power Glove
For one dude
comes super cheap Magneto combos.
Sorry, so favorite gaming moments of the past couple years.
Yeah. I think gaming has. It's weird when people say, "Oh, gaming's changed," because gaming has grown so quickly that I don't even know if you could ever point at a point in time when gaming has been stagnant, except for maybe the early years of arcades. But gaming has definitely become more social, and I think what's interesting is we're starting to see things where it doesn't even really matter what the game is. It's about playing with your friends, and the game is kind of a conceit to hang out. Part of that is us just getting older and having jobs and stuff. It's like, what is everyone playing? Oh, I'm playing. Oh, okay. Oh, sure, I'll play that. Why? Well, because everyone else is, and it'll be fun, right? And so what we were like is there are these amazing social moments. We love playing with our friends, and we also saw kind of the re-advent of challenging games, of the Souls franchise. Nick's a fighting game guy. That's a tough as nails genre. And we knew that we wanted to make something challenging, something that made you feel rewarded. And you even start to look at other media where you go, okay, so what are our favorite movies? What's your favorite moment in a movie? What gives you that visceral rush? And there's a lot of moments, and I think you see this a ton in trailers, because trailers try to encapsulate this as, you're just one dude standing against impossible odds, and there's nowhere else you'd rather be.
And then the monster roars and it cuts to black.
Yeah, exactly. Cuts to black, and then whoa. Yeah.
That's my favorite movie
And then
moment.
Fade back up, and I've got the glove on. And so it's like so standing against impossible odds and knowing that there's nowhere else you'd rather be, an amazing social experience, and making games with your best friends. What could be better? And that's really where we started. And then we were just saying, okay, what are we playing? What's going on? And we're playing a few different games, and you start monkeying around, and we ended up bringing it up.
That's awesome. And also is it a matter of outside of Monster Hunter, no one has really nailed this.
Oh,
and
sure.
sorry I know it's beyond
Yeah.
Monster Hunter.
No. But yeah.
That was a large part of it early on. Is we were all playing a ton of Monster Hunter. And at the time, obviously, Monster Hunter Worlds hadn't been announced, but we were really craving an HD action hunting experience.
Yeah.
And we had God Eater, which I think I'm the only one in the studio who plays it. Tokiden, which I played a little bit of that as well. Still, no one else really played it. And it was really hard for me to pull my friends into those franchises because there's just, again, not that, I want to throw them under the bus, but there's just a lot of cruft and unknowable systems built into those games. Yeah. And we looked at Monster Hunter, and we looked at a ton of other games in the action hunting space. And we wanted to make a game that we could play with our friends. I could tell Ian, hey, play Dauntless. And he'd be like, oh, okay, sounds cool. And he wouldn't bounce off in, the 10-hour tutorial where he's picking up dinosaur poop for 3 missions.
Right.
Yeah.
I like picking through dinosaur poop. I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
I'm allergic, unfortunately. Yeah.
Hey, here's a dumb one-off. I follow a lot of Double Fine stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever follow Brazen? It was a Monster Hunter-like game that they were trying to pitch to publishers, and it was roundly rejected, at least the storyline goes, and then that eventually led to Massive Chalice, I believe.
Yes, which I like Massive Chalice. I'm a big XCOM guy, so Massive Chalice was right up my alley.
Oh, right on. It's just interesting, just coming from a Double Fine perspective, and mostly because of the videos they release are amazing.
Yeah.
But just saying that Brazen could be rejected by publishers, and then it's like, hey, here's another Monster Hunter game, and it's like, cool. Yeah. League of Legends backing, we got it.
Well, and the weird thing too, right, is that I don't think the Double Fine story is dissimilar from our own. I think Tim's put together a studio of people that he really likes, that they all love making games together. And again, a lot of these guys, if they weren't making tax software, could go down to Ubi, they could go to EA, they could go to Sony in the Bay. They could go to Zynga. They could go anywhere and be making a ton of money and get in at 10 and leave at 4 and be in a cafeteria that was cooler than any theme park you'd ever been in. But they want to make games together, and so they make games together. And there's a lot to be said for that. As far as why some games hit the thing and they get accepted, and sometimes they don't. I've been in pitches and meetings. I mean, when we were at EA, like you would see what's coming down the pipe, and sometimes be like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome." There's no way, and then like 2 years later, like, "Yeah, I don't know what we're thinking." And sometimes you see something where it's like, "What? Who? Why? What? How did you? What did you? What? How? Where did you get under the sink and drink that stuff again?" And it's like, no, but then it turns into an amazing game.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is when you move away from the huge, and again, this is not an indictment of the system, but when you move away from the huge AAA game production system, and you move away from, okay, every quarter we got to be throwing up numbers, every year we got to make the stockholders happy too. Look, we are 100% beholden to our fans. We're 100% beholden to our founders, and we're 100% beholden to our investors. But when you come in with the expectation of we're doing this for the right reasons, it gives you a flexibility that I think maybe wasn't the right situation for Brazen. I mean, there are so many factors; it's impossible to say.
Yeah. Definitely. How's everything going for you guys? How's the studio doing overall?
Pretty
Great.
good.
Yeah, really great. I mean, it was a pretty seminal moment when we launched the closed beta back in August. I mean, we launched the closed beta and went to PAX in the same weekend, which was lunacy, and we shipped a trailer, which was also lunacy.
Yep. Right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It was pretty ambitious, but it was really cool to see everyone come into the game, have fun playing it. Like, we kind of watched like our CCU numbers, like the chart in the office it's kind of like what was the name of the thing from 24, the control room?
Oh yeah.
So we like see like the CCU numbers just kind of like going up, and it was like it's happening, like the dream is real. People are playing the game, logging in, having fun, and well, I mean, it's a really cool moment when you can jump in and play your game with the community. Like, I know it sounds
under the radar, or
well, no, it just seems like something so obvious, but like, I mean, we started building this game 3 years ago, and like we're now at a point where like it's out there, and people are playing it, and like you can log in and like play with the community and hear what they say, and like hear their genuine excitement or hear their critical feedback, and like actually do something with it. Like, because it's really cool.
Because I think maybe what, like any game, you're talking about at least 3 years of development before. I mean, you're talking about at least a year of development before you're like, yep, this is definitely the game we're making. And then you're talking about probably another year or two of, okay, we've got squares bumping off of each other, to another year, 2 years of, okay, now it's a video game. And it's a very different mindset. Pre-production, production, post-production is an extremely different mindset when you're making a game. And so that first moment where someone plays your game, you're like, oh, it's real. Okay, this is real. It is surreal.
Are you guys just watching Twitch streams, just like trying to see in reaction? Like,
I
think they smiled there. I don't know what that means.
It's excruciating. I mean, it's exciting. And so we have these big screens up in the office, and Lyric decides to play, which is both great and awful, because it's like, well, here comes 30,000 people to form an opinion about our game.
And comes 30,000 people onto our servers built for a fraction of that.
Yeah, and the server goes down. And he's like, oh, I think the server's down. It's like, red alert! Everyone go! Yeah. And we rush. Skyline, I'm talking to him on Twitter, and he's a very patient guy, so he's very sweet. But
real quick, tangent. Don't forget where you're going. When the server goes down, what do you guys do? You go and you plug in more servers. What does that look like inside of a studio when the servers are just cannot support this?
Yeah, the red lights come on.
Right. We again, going back to learning something new every day. I thought servers were just like a rack that lived inside of a cellar somewhere. Right. That's my antiquated thinking of things, but. Very much to the credit of our engineering team, we use a combination of like cloud storage and Amazon and Google servers to kind of have everything live in the cloud, so to speak. Yeah. But what that means is like it's very easy for us to spin up additional cores and additional servers for our game. Takes as long as it takes someone at Amazon to walk over and flip a switch, so 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so servers go down. Like literally, you get on the phone with Amazon and you say, "Hey, give us more cloud."
And he's like, "Oh, that's why the rack's belching flame." Yeah, we'll get on top of that. And then they spin them up. They spin up more servers. And it's not worth going into the details, but it is just basically like. It's a power bill. So it's actually, I think this is interesting when people talk about like, well, how the hell did they not know how many, like when a multiplayer game launches and it goes down.
Exactly.
It's hard to believe this, but electricity is a big deal. It's very expensive. and heat is a big deal. It's very expensive to cool these things. And so when people are like, well, how did they not anticipate this many? Well, it's like you project, you guess. But what happens is that if you spin up too many servers, you are hemorrhaging money. Like it is extremely expensive to spin up extra servers ahead of time. I know people won't believe me, but too bad, it's the truth. And so you're ideally going, we had this many servers, we had this many people, and you go like this forever, right?
Right.
And I think it's to be expected that, you go here and it comes here, and then you go, and you figure it out. It's fine. And that's what happens. So you make the call, you get on the horn with the guy, and the guy's like, okay, well, what are you anticipating? Are you going up? Are you coming down? Where are we going? And then you just over time, now we're lucky. With Amazon and Google, they are so good at it. Like, I'm sure they're using machine learning to actually predict what the ebb and flow is. And
So you just call up the sentient AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just
hello,
you
Skynet.
go,
we need more games.
Dear Mr. Zuckerberg, would you please bless us with?
Yeah.
And it happens. Yeah. If you just put out your iPhone and you talk about it, you're like, I wish our servers would come back up.
A lot of people are complaining on Twitter.
Yeah. As long as you have the Facebook app installed, weird things happen.
No, but talking about just seeing the numbers go up on Steam, or not on Steam, but just overall.
Yeah.
What's moving the needle for you guys? What do you think have been the keys to success? Coming from a marketing background, what have been the big splashes along the way?
It's a good question. I think it's been really, for me, I think we've kind of leveraged a combination of things. There hasn't been that like one seminal moment where we're like, and we did it. We have been fighting tooth and nail, and everyone has been putting in like crazy hours and exhausting every opportunity to get our game in front of as many people as possible. So like, we do things like we go to PAX, we're there all day, every day. We then make ourselves available nearby at bars and restaurants to meet players and hear them and hang out with them. We put out trailers constantly. We do like Ian has been writing a developer blog a week, like in perpetude since the dawn of time.
Am I supposed to be doing that?
Not this week. You got the week off, baby. Don't worry.
That's good.
Yeah, like Ian is always on the forums, as is everyone else back home.
Yeah.
Ian's constantly engaging with people on Twitch, making sure that they have codes to play the game and are hanging out.
We made a very conscious effort not to throw money at people.
Yeah.
When you have a game, the second that you breach water and make yourself known to the world, you get about 1,000 emails from people saying, "Hey, if you give me $5,000, I'll get you 10,000. If you give me this much money, if you do
I'll
this,
give you access to our influencer network."
Yeah. Oh, come on. This. Yeah.
And so I'm going to jump in, but
do
before you keep going, Ian. One of the things that we have not necessarily prided ourselves on, but one of the things that we believe in doing is everyone who's been following Dauntless, signed up for an account, it's all been organic. Like, we haven't paid really for anyone. I know you pay when you go to like PAX and you pay when you make a trailer.
We haven't paid for ads.
Yeah, we haven't paid for ads. Like, everyone who's signed up for an account, everyone who's playing the game is playing it because they want to, because we had a conversation with them. We did something to impress them. And that's kind of like core to our philosophy, is like, everyone at the studio, especially the marketing team, especially me, I hold myself to a really high degree of authenticity and transparency and just being open. Like, we don't BS with players. Like, we tell them the truth. When they give us critical feedback, we give them an honest response. We admit when we make mistakes. And I think all of that ladders up to building trust in players and building a relationship with them. And ultimately, if we want to get really gross in marketing theory, I think fostering that relationship with the player so that they become an advocate for you and that they believe in you as a person and you as a company, that's way more powerful than any ad I could take out on Google or Facebook any day.
So building that advocate from players, that's an interesting angle, because then it's like, okay, now so much of our success hinges on each individual player telling their friends about it and making sure that the on-ramp is okay. Yeah. And the tutorial is not going to scare anybody off.
Right. Yep.
Like, how does that then go back and influence design, just to make sure that the friends,
for sure,
the people that do go out on a limb and try and rope in their friends don't say, what the hell's wrong with you? What is this crap?
Well, and that's a very intentional part of it. That's actually part of the thinking, which is that, look, if you showed up because you're passionate, you're going to give us the feedback we need.
Yeah.
If we are not doing it right, people are not going to stick around. They're not going to show up. And so, like, this update that we're doing would not have been possible at the quality level if we were, just like scraping people in, because when like, if you play our game, it doesn't really matter how or why you got there. I appreciate it, and I want to create the best experience for you. But if you came in because you're passionate about the genre, or because you have a friend that's passionate about the game, or for whatever reason, you're much more likely to give feedback that we can use to make a better game. And I am excited to make those kinds of people a cornerstone of our community. And so we know, having all of these people having shown up organically, that the feedback they gave us is coming from not a place of like, well, I gave you my money and like, you know, let's go. It's coming from a place of, I really care about this game, and that you literally cannot pay for feedback like that, and it's invaluable. So it's hugely gratifying, and it's also hugely edifying.
Yeah, definitely. Going back into your guys' history a little bit,
Sure.
Were you both at EA? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Ian,
That sounds so excited. Yeah, we I think I spent, let me think about this, 2, 3, I spent about 6 or 7 years at EA.
Oh wow.
Started way back in QA on Command and Conquer Generals. What's up?
Awesome.
Made the transition to publishing, which is what I studied at university, and then worked on Mass Effect Trilogy for a bit. That's where I met Ian. He was working on Battlefield at the time, and we all worked on Mass Effect 3 together. And then, transitioned over to Riot Games to work on League for a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wait, so you're working on which Battlefield then?
I started on Battlefield 3, and then I did some work on 4.
Doing what exactly?
I was the community manager. I was the North American publishing community manager.
Oh, awesome.
How many times did you have your dog tags stolen from you?
Oh, dude. Yeah. So this is actually really fun. So we had a dog tag machine that we got for.
No, not IRL dog tags, you nerd. How many times
no.
did you get stabbed in game?
Well, that was the thing. Is so we had an IRL dog tag machine that we bought for this conference, and then someone up top figured out that we'd spend like $50,000 on it. I was like, oh. So you're gonna get value out of this machine, or you're in trouble. I was like, okay, sorry. So I had it in my cube. And I had this little game where it was like, if you stab, because in Battlefield, when someone stabs you in the game, they stab you, they grab your tags, they twist, and they pull the tags off.
Sure.
And so it was like, if you find Ian in the game and you stab him and take his tags in the game, I will actually physically mail you real dog tags.
That's amazing.
So everyone else played Battlefield. I played this really weird Left 4 Dead expansion where it was just me, a shotgun, and a million people with knives. But yeah, no, Nick and I, we worked in the same marketing pit, and we bonded over... you remember when they sent copies of Mass Effect into space?
No.
Oh my god! And then crashed into the ocean.
And it crashed into the ocean. And then there was one out in the redwood forest.
Yes.
And someone had to climb up in a tree.
Yes.
And the guy that owned the property almost killed that person. That was Nick.
Okay. Tell us the tree climbing story.
Oh man.
Oh, just the full saga of sending that into space. That is such an amazing move.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how like unabashed I'm going to be about my anger with this.
Well, Nick, you've paid for a lot of therapy, and I think you're in a healthy
come
place
out the other
to talk
side.
about
So,
it. Yeah.
Mass Effect 3, I don't know if you've heard of it, takes place in a little place called outer space.
Cool.
We thought it'd be really interesting to incorporate maybe like Virgin Galactic in a cool way, or NASA, or do some kind of like real life something with this. Yeah. What the marketing budget allowed for was me spending a couple bucks on a weather balloon and a GoPro to send copies of Mass Effect 3 to space. And I was like, okay, well, like we can make this work. Yeah. Like we'll film it on tape. We'll do like a trailer cut down and be like, Mass Effect 3 is the first game to break the stratosphere. That's a PR stunt.
Yeah, you're just you want sites to write headlines about, here's some nonsense. Just get Mass Effect in the buzz again.
You remember the wonderful conversation we had about organic followers and building organic interest?
Opposite of that.
This is at the opposite end of the spectrum, where things are broken.
Yeah.
So we send it to space, and because sending it to space alone isn't enough.
Hey guys, stop. Okay, so it's literally like a finished box copy of Mass Effect 3. Is it just one? Yep. How many did you put up there?
It gets better.
Okay.
So one is on camera, but attached to the weather balloon is a case full of 24 pre-release copies of Mass Effect.
A very story-heavy game. Like if people get their hands on that early, it's game over.
These were the pre-ship copies, like the ones that come in the box at GameStop that say "Do not break street date, or you will be tried as a criminal."
But it's also
do not turn into a meteor that crashes through your roof.
But it was like you were only like 24, 48 hours out anyway.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, we're like, okay, we're gonna send it to space. This is gonna be really cool. And at the last minute, we're like, well, what if we put GPS on it? And what if we publish the GPS live? And I was like, this is literally the worst idea I've ever heard. Can we not do
going to space? Good.
Yeah.
Having people try to get to space? Bad.
Be bad.
Yeah.
So we decided to do it.
Like you do.
Like you do. Go big or go home. So we launched one in San Francisco Vegas, New York, London, and
Paris?
Berlin.
Oh no, they wouldn't let you launch it in Paris.
Yeah, so
I'm trying to remember. Was that like the site of like the first Reaper attacks? Was there any like logic to the cities? London was in one of the trailers. I remember early on.
Originally, again, we were going to fire it into space, and it didn't really matter where we launched it from because space.
Go up.
But then we were like, well, we'll put pre-release copies and publish the GPS so people can voraciously fight over early copies of Mass Effect.
Right.
And we're like, okay, that's insane.
Yeah.
And then we have to do it worldwide because it wouldn't be fair if only people on the West Coast got to fight each other for it.
Right.
It's like,
so you got to find population centers.
Yeah. So the San Francisco one, we launched 2. One, and by the way, weather patterns predicted both would land in, Stockton? Yeah. Which we were like, okay, that's a drive.
Be in a parking lot.
Yeah, Stockton's fine.
I love the intern that has to figure that out. Hey, could you call some sort of weatherman and ask where Mass Effect's going to land?
You went to a university.
We were legally required to get that data because the TSA wouldn't let us launch them without showing that our weather balloons were not going to mess up their situation.
Yeah, dude.
So the first one lands in the ocean, as you do.
Whoops.
Yep. Second one lands in the middle of a redwood forest in San Francisco, behind private property that has a no trespassing sign.
So put a bookmark in that.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
The Las Vegas one landed in the middle of a desert somewhere that had no road access.
Death Valley.
Oh, yeah.
The New York one landed in a guy's backyard in Jersey who called the cops on us.
Yep.
I hate Mass Effect.
Yeah. So, like, I'm a
coder man.
I was accountable for the San Francisco launches, and then we sent other people to the other sites. All of North America was like an unmitigated disaster. Like, I felt very validated through my insanity because I called it.
Yes.
But I called the guys in Europe, and I was like, hey guys, like, we've got to like tone this down because this was a total debacle in North America, and I literally cannot give you any advice to survive the next 48 hours of your life.
Right.
They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. We already launched it and everyone already found it. It was fine. We shot it up. It came down. Guys found it. It was great.
Yeah.
Great stunt. Great idea, Nick.
Yay, we did it.
You landed in Germany in like some garden somewhere.
Yeah.
Totally easy to get to. Big like public event. I was just like,
okay.
So
Nick, I heard that a copy landed in the redwood forest.
Yeah, you heard correctly. So I'm tracking the weather balloon as it's falling. And I'm driving up the coastline there, like in between Santa Cruz and Half Moon.
There's really good pie out there.
Yeah, we did not get pie on this trip.
Are you seeing like people in cars next to you, like fans?
Well,
racing
people
along?
are following me because they know I'm tracking it.
Right.
Oh, God.
And
Because
so
Nick told them, like, don't go on private property.
Yeah,
Right.
Don't be a butthole.
yeah. And what
Come
do
on,
people do?
entire world, don't be a butthole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works on the internet, by the way.
Yeah.
I wish someone would just say that.
Yeah,
So
come
we pull up to where we think basically where the road is like nearest to access this place. And there's like 10 other cars all illegally parked blocking traffic. People are like hopping over this fence that literally says no trespassing, private property.
Yeah.
And we get there and I look up and the weather balloon is stuck in like this 200-foot redwood tree. People are starting to climb it with no climbing gear. I have no cell phone reception because I am literally in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like frantically trying to get an arbalist out here before someone dies. And this goes on for 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days
And so then-
of what?
Of trying to keep people out of the tree.
So I couldn't leave because I had to stop people from climbing the tree, but I couldn't call anyone because my phone was dead.
Right.
And you're just standing by the tree like, back,
Yeah.
back. I don't care how much you want to see what happens in the valley.
There's Reddit threads where he's like, well, he's got to sleep.
Yeah.
So like,
So
someone's like, well, we should bring him food. It's like, no, don't bring him food because he'll have to leave to get food.
Let's
And then
kill him.
Yeah.
So day one concludes and it's like getting dark and we're literally in the middle of a forest. So there's no lights, no nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm pushing everyone out.
Yeah.
I write a handwritten letter that like I put on the guy's fence that I'm like, dear Mass Effect 3 fans, we love you. For the love of God, please don't go in here. It's private property. We come back the next day and sure enough, like the guy is waiting. He's like, what are you kids doing? And I was like, nothing. We're leaving. So we write that off. We're like, that balloon is in a tree somewhere, never to be seen from or heard from again.
Done.
A week later, someone comes to the EA Redwood Shores office. Like how they even got the address is whatever. He comes in and he's like, hi, I've got the Mass Effect 3 weather balloon. I didn't know if you guys wanted it back. And I'm like,
What?
no way. And yeah, sure enough, like after all of us had written this one off, like he went back out there, climbed the
He went
tree.
out with like a cherry picker, like a bucket truck or something.
200 feet?
Yeah.
And a ladder. You put the, I mean, call your OSHA rep first, but if you put the ladder in the cherry picker, then you can.
No, it was madness.
Yeah. So anyway,
I have one of the surviving copies that made it to space. I mean, it's shattered and beat to hell and back, but
AAA all day, baby.
it's on my shelf, and it's there. It happened.
Was that more or less stressful than the reaction towards the ending to Mass Effect 3 then?
So that's how Nick and I met.
Yeah.
Red alert!
Yeah, I would say launching Mass Effect 3 into space was probably one of the most difficult things I have ever had to go through.
Yeah.
Both physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Yeah. But yeah, so
and then the Mass Effect 3 ending happened.
Then that happened, and we did that, yeah. But sorry, that's why Nick and I met at EA. And then you went to Riot.
Yeah.
And then I went and worked on Halo stuff.
Yeah.
It's gotta be nice to have League of Legends and Mass Effect on a resume. I imagine that opens a lot of doors for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it opened doors for us to each other.
Yeah.
And that's the only door that matters, really.
It's like I worked on Mass Effect. I'm like, yep. He's like, I'm like, I worked on Halo. He's like, yep.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
No, but I mean, it I think more than anything, it gave me really good perspective, because I'd always come from like the box product world where, like Ian said earlier, you ask someone to spend $60 up front, they play your game, they like it or they don't, they feel slighted by it, and then you end up with the Mass Effect 3 ending scenario all over again. Yeah. But a game like League of Legends, it taught me how to operate a live service. It taught me more about free to play. Yeah. Taught me more about a global market, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely nice to have on the resume. But both were equally different and educational for me, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, Dauntless, you guys. If people want to play it, where should they go? How does it work?
Yeah,
go to space. Where's our redwood forest? Yeah, so you can.
No, you didn't hear. We're going back in time to when dinosaurs roamed, and we're going to put copies there.
Oh, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Sound of thunder.
Real quick, is one copy Mass Effect 3 still on the bottom of the ocean?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we never got the one from the ocean. Well, I'm assuming we didn't, because it landed like.
It was out there. There's no way.
Like international.
It's in
waters.
a trench. Yeah. Like you're not. I
mean,
mean, it's probably
next,
got crushed.
Like the next James Cameron documentary.
Oh,
level.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Behold, Jacques Cousteau's down there. He just got to the end. He's like, I don't like this. Sorry, man.
Okay, sorry. Dauntless. They want to play.
You should go to playdauntless.com, and we've got trailers. We got all kinds of good stuff. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. This is a podcast, right? So I can tell you about how, if you're looking to make an exciting website for your video game, I highly recommend Squarespace.
We're good. We don't need to.
I'll tell you about my Casper mattress and playdauntless.com. We're basically, our philosophy is, wherever you want to talk about the game, we'll meet you halfway. So we're on Reddit, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on. We've got our website. Wherever you want. We're on email. Yeah, come in. What is email? You can come in. Come in. We don't have Snapchat because I'm not 14, but one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, wherever you're comfortable and happy learning about Dauntless, we've tried to set something up for you to do that, and we'd love to have you play and learn more about the game.
We're in closed beta now, but early next year we'll be open, at which point anyone who wants to play can sign up for an account, download the game, jump in, have fun.
Do you guys feel like there's a little bit of an arms race between you and Monster Hunter World to see who gets out there first?
No.
They're
gonna do what they're gonna do. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. I think. Honestly, the biggest impact that Monster Hunter World is going to have on our studio is that we're all going to want to be out for a week playing it. Yeah. I think that we are going to take the time to do that, just because we are all such big fans, and we do that for other. Like, we took time off for Destiny, we took time off for Mario. I think we're going to probably take some time off for. Well, I took time off for Mario, but I think that we'll take some time off.
Mr. 999 stars over here.
Get them all.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, my dad said he'd take the Power Glove back if I didn't.
Yeah, his dad just bought a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, though, competition's good, because I think it breeds excellence, and a competition builds like the steady tide, right? And I think more than anything, we want to be respectful of people's time. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to ship our open beta on top of Monster Hunter Worlds, because one, that's just silly, and two, it's kind of unfair to players who want to play both games. Yeah. So I think Monster Hunter Worlds comes out, everyone's going to have a lot of fun playing it. I know we'll have a lot of fun playing it, and then we'll see how things go, and then we'll probably give players, a little bit of breathing room, and then probably drop some Dauntless stuff near it.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Nick and Ian, thanks so much for swinging by.
Thank you for having
spending
us.
time in the podcast.
Really
yeah,
a
a lot of
pleasure.
fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.